So I'm Kristin. I'm the Oregon Safety Assessment Program Coordinator. I've been doing the job for about 15 months. So in 2019, House Bill 2206 was passed, and it took the Safety Assessment Program out of the Building Codes Division, and it placed it in the State Fire Marshal's office. And it directed us to develop and administer the Safety Assessment Program. That included developing standards for training and certifying evaluators, and working with local governments to designate local program coordinators who will be responsible for implementing the program at local levels. It also has us implement a statewide registry system for registration of local program coordinators, evaluators, and trainers. It also has us writing administrative rules, which we have completed, but then we're now in the process of updating them. Hopefully by the end of June now, they'll be updated. There is a gap in this statute that passed. There's a couple gaps, but one of the main ones is it did not give our office statutory authority to deploy the evaluators out to an event. So we're trying to figure out a workaround until that has been resolved.
And by that has been resolved, with that slide left to the side, it's like we need to do an update to the legislation. We're on it, Kristin. We're on it.
So David really did the heavy lifting of helping us come up with the credentialing of how we're going to do the evaluators and the resource typing. So if I miss anything, David, feel free to jump in. So we came up with 3 resource types, and resource type 3 is an assistant to the other 2 types in those complex specialties we'll get into. And they can just, you have to be an engineer in training and an unregistered architect, which I think we're going to change that language. And so they would assist the architects, engineers, and building officials. The next type we came up with is a resource type 2, and they have the ability to evaluate single-family residential buildings and associated accessory structures up to 3 stories in height, and simple commercial structures. And then you'll see the qualifications for that as a building inspector, building plan examiner, professional engineer, and an engineer and geologist. Then the resource type 1 can do the same task of a resource type 2, along with simple commercial structures. And then the list right there is what you need to do to be qualified to be a resource type 1. It's a building inspector, building plans examiner, building official, engineer, architect. And then we have 3 specialties. Then they can do rapid and detailed evaluations. The first one is a complex geological system building safety evaluator, and they'll do the liquefaction, slope stability, and settlement for all structures. And once again, there's the list of qualifications to get on our registry for that. The second one is a complex structural system building safety evaluator, and they can perform on all structures, including those designated as difficult, complex, or significant. And the qualifications is a structural engineer or an engineer with specialization in structures, plus the 10 years experience in building design and analysis. Then the last specialty is a complex architectural system building safety evaluator, and they can do the habitability assessments on all structures. And then there's the qualifications to qualify for that specialty. Did I miss anything, David? Copy this. Another requirement for ORSAP is to come up with training. And to be an ORSAP building training, safety evaluator training, they have to take the training, which, once again, David did a lot of heavy lifting on that, along with Chris Wong. And I believe they took the Cal OES training program, and then they added slides for the Oregon training. And so to be an evaluator on our program, to sign up and get on the registry, you have to take one of these trainings. The ORSAP one, the Cal OES, the WASAP, or any ATC 20 that we approve. And then once you take that training, then you can sign up on our website, on our registry, and we will badge you, and you can be sent out somehow. We have to figure out how we're going to deploy them, but we'll send you out to an event. When you take the training, you have to, when you get on a list, you have to update your training every 5 years. So to register as evaluator, you take the training, complete our online application on our website, and then we will credential you, verify that your license is valid, and then we will assign you a resource type and issue a badge, which looks like that. And we'll put your credential type on there so that when you send out to the local program coordinator, which is usually the building official, they know what skill set and what resource type you are. Our next steps are to develop a mobilization process with local governments. At this point, we're kind of coming up with the only plan we can think of is when, if an event happens and we have counties calling in for resources, we will take the registry and divide it up among counties, hopefully somewhat, equitable, and send out the building officials the list, and then they have to take it from there and how they're going to call up and mobilize the volunteers. We are working with Oregon Emergency Management because we believe it falls under their statute to cover workers' comp and liability insurance for the evaluators. And we are creating policies and procedures, working with OEM again on how to work on out-of-state aid. And then one of our last goals is working with local governments so that we can help them just develop their own building safety evaluation program. And then our goal in about 3 years is to do a full-scale exercise, multi-agency, multi-jurisdiction exercise. Hopefully get some grant money from FEMA for that. That's our program right now. We've been working on it for about 12 months now, and every time we get to a spot where we think we're almost done, new things come up, and so we have still a lot of unanswered questions, but so far that's where we're at.
Any questions for Kristin?
I was involved in the earlier stages of the rulemaking, but couldn't be involved throughout all of it. But I'm seeing this for the first time, and I'm curious. Is there still an official ORSAP role for the coordinator, or not?
It's in the statute.
Okay.
It's in the OARs that there is a local program coordinator position. That's what we want to work with the building officials on, is going out promoting it, because they will be the local program coordinator.
And then ultimately there'll need to be a coordinator position as well, but we haven't developed the training at this point.
Okay.
We talked about how this is something we've got a bunch of stuff in the training right now, but eventually we'll sort some out, because maybe there's more information about how you might be helping to coordinate between 7 teams, and then you're a coordinator, and so yeah, it's still in infancy. We're working on it as we can.
Sure.
But it's definitely not off the table. I think it was just like we felt like these things need to happen first.
Get the rules out so that we can move forward in the program, and then update it as we go along.
But it sounds to me like Jay Wilson would like to be part of that conversation.
He has been.
Yeah. And because I would likely be an emergency manager, and the OC would be on some end of that process doing that. So I'm just thinking out loud for other people at that jurisdictional level. They're not evaluators, but they would be involved in some process.
Definitely.
And as far as the resources, the typing, we tried to set it up so that you need at least a team of 2. If you have 70,000 houses and nothing else in your jurisdiction, all you really need is a type 2 and a type 3, but you've got type 1s and the others, go for it. But you can use those chess pieces as you need to cover any of your conditions, and whoa, I have something really complicated, I only have one building engineer that I have I can work with, so I'm going to with these type 1 structurals to help with this, and try to leave it as open as possible so that the VO can figure out how to best attack the situation.